Hello, this is Maya Andreasen. Welcome back. We are starting character modeling video 2. So when we last stopped, we had created a bunch of groups for our rig and our model, and we'd created a layer for our model. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create some joints. So before I actually create some joints, let me put my character into template mode and bring back my grid so we can see it. And let's talk about how we can create some joints. So we need to go from modeling to rigging. When we go to our rigging menu in Maya, you'll see that everything past Windows changed from all these modeling options to very different options. We have skeleton, skin, deform, constrain, control, cache, render man, Arnold, and help. All right, so we are going to create some joints. So I'm going to go to the Create Joint Options box and just reset my tool. I always like to do that before using a tool. The next thing I'm going to do is press down on the space bar and then left mouse press on the Maya icon and go to my right view. All right, so when we make, let's hit Alt-B so we can see things just a little bit better. When we create joints, you'll see we have this little marker tool. And so we can make joints anywhere, all right? And then when you hit enter, come on, you've created joints. All right, so, and then if you wanna grab the joint tool again, the last tool you used is always gonna be over here in the toolbar in the bottom. You'll see I also have it on my custom shelf. All right, there's a couple really helpful tools or shortcuts that you're gonna need to know. There's X, which is snap to grid, and V, which is snap to vertice or snap to joint. So if I press X here, you'll see that I'm only snapping to the grid. I'm not snapping anywhere else to the grid. By the way, I'm clicking Alt-B. I'm kind of cycling through to different view options to see which one is best for you. Now, I'm still in my joint tool. I haven't pressed enter yet. If I click the up and down arrows, I can actually move up and down my hierarchy. So this right here is my joint hierarchy. The first joint is the top parent joint. And when we move down that hierarchy, we're moving to all the children. Now, let's say I wanted to start an entirely new chain. Well, I can because I'm still in joint mode. So I can just use my arrow keys to go to the joint that I want and start pressing and clicking where I want my joints again. The other thing that I can do in joint mode is I can actually move my joints. So if I middle mouse click, I'm not middle mouse pressing, I just middle mouse click, and you'll see that suddenly the move tool is visible. Now, if I want to move this, I can move it I can move it in all the different directions. However, if I want to move it, I have to press the middle mouse button, not the left mouse button, the way you would regularly move. So I'm going to middle mouse press and drag, and that's moving it in this direction. Middle mouse press and drag, I'm moving it in the X direction. Or I can middle mouse press and drag around, pressing in the middle of the move tool, and that moves it in multiple directions. All right. And when you are done, once again, you can hit enter. Okay, but here is something that's interesting. So I'm out of joint create mode. If I want to move just this joint, and I'm not in joint create tool, if I hit W, you'll see that all of a sudden I'm moving the entire chain of joints that's underneath this particular joint. So I'm moving everything because all of these joints are parented to this particular joint right here. Now, if I just want to move this joint alone, I have to either hit the insert key or the D as in dog key. And then, just like with pivot points, I can custom move just that joint alone. When I'm done, I press D again, okay? So that's how we can move around with our joint tool. And it's pretty great. All right, so those are the basics of the joint tool. The next thing you want to do is have some idea about anatomy, all right? Where are you going to put your model? I recommend taking a screenshot of the model and bringing it into Photoshop. So if I hit print screen and go to Photoshop here, Control N for new, Control V. Let's do something like this. Actually, we'll go like this. And Control plus to make it bigger. And we're going to go for B for brush. What you want to do is you just want to kind of place where these joints are going to go. So I know I'm going to have a neck base joint. I'm going to have a head joint. I'm going to have a head end joint. I'm going to have eye joints. I'm going to have a jaw joint, which actually might go here. Yeah, definitely. And see, I'm actually thinking about how is this going to open? How is this going to move? I'm going to have another base joint here so a base where my jaw is and where the neck meets the shoulders. I am definitely going to have some spinal joints. See? So just putting my spine here and my spine base. Let's do spine base here. And then I'm going to have a hip joint, which is actually going to line up with the base of the spine. I'm going to have a knee joint, and I'm going to have an ankle joint, a ball joint, and a toe joint. Okay? So I kind of know where these things are going to go. My hip joints, obviously you'd probably want to do a front view as well. And the front view will be super helpful because then you will be able to see your two hips. All right, let's go back to Maya. And let's create these joints. So we're going to put our character into template mode and kind of zoom in. And we're going to start with the legs. Let's do Alt-B. I think this was the best. So we're going to go to our joint tool. And we are going to press X, actually. So we're going to kind of use the grid as a helpful place here. We're going to do this guy. And remember, you can always move this joint if you middle mouse press, right? And then we're going to go to our ankle joint. And I'm actually just going to put it here. A ball joint. And I'm going to press Shift to create a nice straight line for my toe joint, which is the end. And then when I'm done, I'm going to press Enter. All right, so let's go to our front view and see how everything looks. Well, we've created our joints, but they're smack dab in the middle of the grid. So we're going to want to move our joint over. Now, before I angle this properly, the first thing you should know is you never, ever, ever want to rotate your joint. So you never want to do any kind of rotation on your joint. That is really, really bad. It's going to really mess up your rig later on. You might not believe me, you don't have to take my word for it, but believe me, it's not good. So how can you rotate without rotating? Well, we actually are going to go to our attribute editor. And when we are ready to do this, what we are going to do is there's something called joint orient here. If I click in joint orient and then control middle mouse drag, as you can see, we get what looks like rotating, but it's not really rotating. We're actually just moving the joint orientation. And we're going to get more into what the heck is joint orientation? What is that? So let's go here and let's take a look. So joint orientation is how your joints are pointing in your world space in the X, Y, and Z axis. In order to see this, we need to turn them on. Now, that's called transform display local rotation axis. But you'll notice it only shows up for one of them. So it's actually really smart to go select hierarchy. And that's going to select your entire joint chain. And you'll see here that it's selected. And that allows us to turn on our LRAs, local rotation axis. And you can see I put them on my shelf. Now, before we fix our local rotation axes, because you can see here that they are going in every which direction, I'm actually going to turn off the visibility of my character and make this a little bit brighter so we can see a little bit better. And you can see that, yeah, they're kind of a mess. So we are going to have to fix this. If we don't fix them, then our joints just won't move properly. And so you can have the most complex rig on the planet if your joints aren't oriented properly and all kind of flowing in the same direction, i.e. flowing in the direction of all the joints, with our z-axis all pointing in the same direction. What's going to happen is they're going to be fighting each other for which direction they're going in, and you're just going to have a big mess on your hands. Before we go any further, though, we really need to name these joints. So the first thing I am going to do is I am going to call this BN, and BN stands for bind. So B as in boy, N as in Nancy, underscore L, underscore hip or leg or thigh, whichever one you want to call it. I'll do hip 01. And then we are going to do BN underscore knee, underscore L, underscore knee 01, because this is not a one-legged character. He has two legs, so we'll have a left side and a right side. Then BN underscore L underscore ankle 01, BN underscore L underscore ball 01, and lastly BE underscore L underscore toe 01. And I'm going to save. Now, what does BN mean? BN stands for bind, like I said. So when we finish with our rig, basically what we're doing is setting up for our future self that is going to bind the character's rig to the character itself. We are setting things up to make life easier for our future selves. We're basically saying, hey, when we're ready to bind, we're only going to select the joints that have this prefix BN. We will not be selecting any end joints, and those would be joints that have the prefix BE. So it's kind of a way to give a clue to ourselves later on the right process. So we're just trying to be nice to ourselves. All right, so we've named our joints, we've created our joints, and we've made our local rotation axes present, but we haven't fixed them yet. On our next video, we're going to fix those local rotation axes, and we're going to use a combination of aim constraints and locators to really fix how our local rotation axes are pointing. All right, till video 3, I'll see you soon.